What is happening, Magnus sites? So let's talk about Derek Chauvin. Because several of you sent me news articles and said, look, people going on and on about how Candace Owens is right and George Floyd was a piece of shit and this and that. They always want to dig up shit on the victim. But what about the cop? Check this out, brother. Let's read about this upstanding cop. So I was like, okay, let's check it out here. It says here, the police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck has been involved in shootings and was the subject of 10 complaints. All right, so it says here, Derek Chauvin, the white Minneapolis police officer who was fired after a video showed him kneeling on the neck of a black man, George Floyd, who later died, has a history of involvement in violent incidents and police shootings. He's been involved in several police shootings and has been the subject of complaints by the city's Civilian Review Authority and the Office of Police Conduct Reviews on 10 occasions. As Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck, another since ousted officer, Tao, looks like I worked with a girl whose name was spelled the last way, the second way, and her name was Tao. Maybe it's Tao. I don't know. Stood guard. Tao settled an excessive force lawsuit out of court for $25,000 in 2017. Two of the police officers involved in the arrest of George Floyd have a history of violent incidents. Floyd's death in a hospital after the arrest, I don't know if I believe that. I thought he was dead on the street. A lot of people say he was dead on the street. It's like Eric Garner. That's why I didn't watch I didn't do a reaction to the video, because I didn't feel like seeing another black man die like that. You know what I mean? I don't get off on watching people die. Some people do. They're kind of like intrigued or kind of, you know what I mean? But no. It really bothered me to see Eric Garner die like that. And when the paramedics were knelt down, like, yeah, it's okay. And I was like, he's alive? Like, a lot of you remember, I was like looking at him like, he looks dead. Like, what are you talking about? They're talking to him. They didn't want people flipping out and snapping on them. They were waiting for extra police and, you know what I mean, people to get there or whatever. But anyway, after footage circulated of police officer kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes, activist groups have called it a public lynching. The protests have clashed with the police in Minneapolis. 4 officers, including Derek Chauvin, the officer seen kneeling on Floyd's neck, were fired from the Minneapolis Police Department. Following Floyd's death, state authorities and the FBI are investigating the case, and no charges have been brought against the officers. Just letting y'all know, I did see something the other day in passing about them actually having worked together at a nightclub, and they didn't like each other. So that's some extra shit. You killed him because y'all didn't get along at the nightclub. And then people were sending me stuff saying that the nightclub was rumored to have sex trafficking. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I don't know. None of that stuff's proven, all that stuff. I don't know. But I'm just, I get sent so much stuff, you know, some stories I pursue, take a look at, and some I'm just like, and I just keep it moving. It says here, this was not the first time Chauvin had been involved in a violent incident during his 19 years in the Minneapolis Police Department. He was involved in violent incidents before, including 3 police shootings and he has been subject to 10 complaints filed to the City Civilian Review Authority and the Office of Police Conduct. Another officer in the video, Tao, has a record of similar incidents he settled in excess of. Alright, so it says here in 2006, Chauvin was among 6 officers to respond to a stabbing, according to a 2016 report from the Minnesota activist group Communities United Against Police Brutality. Woo! Say that 5 times fast. The report said Wayne Reyes, who was suspected of stabbing his girlfriend and a friend, was stopped in his truck by the responding officers. 6 police officers fired upon and killed him, according to the report, which said the police accused Reyes of pointing a shotgun at the officers. 2 years later, just after 2 o'clock, one morning in 2008, Chauvin responded to a 911 domestic assault call in the Phillips neighborhood in Minneapolis. The Pioneer Press reported Chauvin and his police force partner entered the home, confronting Ira Latrell Tolles, whose partner had made the 911 call. Tolles ran from the pair, but they caught and tried to subdue him. A police statement said this. The statement said Tolles grabbed at one of the police officer's guns, and Chauvin shot him in the torso. Now, I also want to say something. I saw someone post something. If he didn't resist arrest, he'd be alive. So, first of all, I haven't seen the video. But if he did resist arrest, resisting arrest equals you die. Is that what you're telling me? That means lethal force right away. Okay? First of all, kneeling on his neck wasn't police protocol. So the cop was wrong. But that's what you're telling me? Resisting arrest equals death? That's what it should be? If you run, you should be killed. If you resist, you should be killed. Early in 2008, the department awarded Chauvin a medal for his valor in response to an incident with an armed man, according to the Pioneer Press. The Minneapolis Police Department did not immediately respond to a request for Chauvin's full service report. Interesting. In 2011, Chauvin was involved in a 3rd police shooting. He was among 5 officers to respond to reports of a shooting. Leroy Martinez, a 23-year-old Alaska native, was spotted running from the scene, and the officers gave chase, local news reported. The police said Martinez brandished a pistol as he fled. Terry Nutter, one of the responding officers, shot Martinez. An eyewitness account reported by the Star Tribune challenged the police claim that Martinez was holding a pistol when he was shot. They're picking up my trash right now. Speaking of trash, let's continue. He had no reason to shoot the little boy, Delora Eisman told the Star Tribune. She said Martinez had dropped the weapon and held his arms in the air before the police shot him. During his nearly 2 decades with the Minneapolis Police Department, Chauvin has been the subject of several internal complaints, according to the CUAPB database. In 3 separate reviews from the Civilian Review Authority, he was found to have demeaning tone, derogatory language, and language other. No other details were available. He has also been the subject of 7 reviews by the local Office of Police Conduct. Each review includes closed, no discipline, No other details were available. Tao, who completed police academy training in 2009, was sued over claims of excessive use of force in 2017. Lamar Ferguson, the plaintiff, was walking with a pregnant woman in 2014 when Tao and another officer, Robert Thunder, stopped and searched the pair, according to the lawsuit. The officers then began beating Ferguson, legal filings allege. The complaint said Ferguson withstood punches, kicks, and knees to the face and body while defenseless and handcuffed. That caused him to suffer broken teeth as well as other bruising and trauma. The officers took Ferguson to a local hospital for treatment. When they escorted him to jail afterwards, Thunder left him in a t-shirt and underpants, despite hospital staff's recommendation that Ferguson should be allowed to put on his clothes and threw the hospital discharge papers in the trash, according to the lawsuit. In the deposition, Tao said he arrested Ferguson because of an outstanding arrest warrant, adding that he punched Ferguson after one of his hands slipped out of the handcuffs, the Star Tribune reported. He tries to pull away, Tao said. He put his hands on me and tries to give me a stiff arm in a way to try to get me off of him. At this point, he's actively resisting arrest. So I had no choice but to punch him. I punched him in the face. It causes him to pause a bit, which gave Officer Thunder the time to come around and help. The lawsuit was settled out of court for $25,000. And then it says here, correction. A previous version of this article incorrectly said Chauvin and an officer named Terry Nutter crashed into a vehicle in 2005, killing all 3 passengers. Chauvin and Nutter did not crash into the vehicle. A car they were chasing did. Okay, so, yeah. The last bit says here, we cannot sink to the level of our oppressors, and we must not endanger others during this pandemic. George Floyd's family and their lawyer call for peaceful, socially distant protests over his death. Eric Garner's mother says watching George Floyd plead, "I can't breathe," before dying in the police custody was like having deja vu all over again. The man was shot dead outside Tell you, this morning ain't my thing right now today for reading. Outside a Minneapolis pawn shop on the second night of the violent protests over George Floyd's death. Yeah, that was David Dorn. Minneapolis mayor calls for calm after a second night of protests. Okay, so I realized that this article is a few days old. This was done May 27th. But I think that considering that I listened to what Candace Owens had to say about George Floyd, warranted me finding out about the police officer too. All right, so as we can see here, 2 not very upstanding people, and one of them killed the other. One of them on the side of the law, one of them apparently a career criminal. And the way the killing was carried out was absolutely illegal. What happened was illegal. How he handled George Floyd's arrest was illegal. So I definitely hope he gets what he deserves. All right. So for all of you that have been wanting me to check this out, we can definitely see that both of them had very unstellar track records. Hope all this gets cleaned up real fast and real soon. 2020. The fuck is wrong with this year?